coming to celebrate the official launch of eSociety. It's fantastic. And I actually started to write the book in the first week of November. In fact, I wrote the book in November, edited it in December, and we've launched it in January.
Come on.
And I never planned to write a book, but I've been giving a talk for a few years to students at school, unemployed youth, and business leaders, and people in government. And then whenever I did, they used to say, "Oh, you've got to write a book." But I always felt I was only on chapter 3, humbly. Do I really need? Would anyone want to read a book that I write? But last year, by October, I felt the world's changed, and I feel we need to hear more stories of not celebrities, not rich people, but just people like us. I think we've all got stories, and I think we can and we need to share them. So eSociety is not here yet. It's a future where we do truly have equality of opportunity. We truly have people empowered and enterprising. Whereas today, really, we're living in a very divisive world. We divide ourselves into tribes. We say, if you're not with us, you're against us, and we compete. Even though we may share ideals, we still find ways to use colour of whatever type to kind of not break down barriers. So really, eSociety is a place where that no longer happens, and we can all live and coexist together. And the hashtag is a campaign. So the book was not necessarily looking backwards, but looking forwards. So the reason I called it eSociety, it's a campaign. It's a campaign to hopefully taking me that way, and hopefully it can encourage others to use that hashtag and write their stories, and a place where we can all campaign together to find this world where we have equality. I personally have faced issues of what I call the broken system, a system where it holds people back. When I was 15, I was going to leave school at 16. I was not going to college, and I went to my careers advisor at school. And before I even spoke, he said, "For people like you, I can help you get a job in a shop. That's great if you want to work in retail, or join the army." And again, a military career is a great career, but I said I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get into technology. And he laughed at me and degraded me in that instant and said, "It's not possible, you need to go get a degree. I can't help you get there." And thankfully I didn't listen to him, and I left school unemployed rather than give up before I even tried. And thankfully I got an apprentice. The hero of this particular part of my journey was Margaret Thatcher. Not everybody's hero, I have to say. But she launched the YTS scheme, the Youth Training Scheme, and that gave me my way out of poverty, unemployment and underemployment. And 7 years later, I became one of the first internet entrepreneurs. So it just shows you how the system could have broke me down before I even tried. So by the time I was 23, 24, I broke free from that. Unfortunately, many don't. I was at a bus stop where I was born, and I was sat near a tramp. He smelled badly. I couldn't wait for that next bus to come, and he was staring at me. And I was like, "Oh no, what's he going to do? Is he going to attack me? Is he going to?" And suddenly he said my name. And I looked at him, and even though he had an old face, he had young eyes. In fact, he's the same age as me. And I went to school with him. It turned out he never broke free from a system that said he was never good enough. He never found his opportunity, and he fell into crime. He in and out of prison. He was on drugs, and he was a good kid. And we say that all the time. People are good kids. What happened to them? And I think it's you run out of options. There's only one option. That's backwards, because the world's moving forwards. So really, that's why we have to do more. So at the time, I was like, why isn't government doing more about Danny? Government needs to do more about this. And I just went back into my own life. So I'm guilty of living a life where I wasn't getting involved. I was just living my life and wanting everyone else to deal with the bad stuff. But it was actually 10 years later of running my first internet company. By 2004, I resigned from the capitalist system. Capitalism had made me rich personally, and I was living the capitalist dream. In fact, I was at the top of the internet industry, earned a lot, had a lot, spent a lot, but I was unhappy. I realised the system was helping a few, but the many were being left behind. So I resigned from the capitalist system, not to replace it. I didn't say socialism is for me or communism and capitalism is bad. It's more, it's like anything in life, you have to find ways to improve it. So I left as like an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur approaches a problem, they see a problem and they blank sheet of paper, they immerse themselves. So since 2004, I sold my house. I used assets I went around the world over a few years. I went to China, Russia, Germany, Palestine, America, Newcastle. Thankfully with my wife, Argentina now. Just learning what's different in that country. Where is it the same as every other country? So I immersed myself in these issues, and I reappeared as a social entrepreneur. So now it's about how can we use business to transform lives, or how can we just say better business that actually doesn't cause negative issues in society as well. So since 2004, I've been a social entrepreneur. I've created social enterprises so often without the funding I needed, and actually in 2007, I call it my lost year. I was eating in soup kitchens because I couldn't afford to eat. 6 times I was eating in soup kitchens in 2008. And the details in here, I haven't got time to share all that, but and actually a friend of mine at the time said, you must really regret, you used to be rich a few years ago, you had so much, you must regret being here right now like this. I said, no, because I know I'm on a journey. I'm in a dark place, but I'm going to break free, I'm going to find a way, because I've got something here that I want to use to change the world. I came out of that dark year and I launched, and actually the reason I was in that dark place was because a bad business didn't pay their bill. So actually someone owed me £75,000 as a business and they wouldn't pay. And it's because of the recession. The recession came and everyone stopped trying to spend money, including what they owed people. So that was an example of bad business. Putting people in poverty. What causes poverty? Well, actually there's so many different, there's no magic bullet. It's a bit of this, bit of that. And I think, we need to try and find ways to do things well. And yeah, so there's stories of dark places. Breaking free and rising again. I then launched academies training long-term unemployed across the UK, innovating new social enterprises. There's a new social enterprise I launched last year, and that's going to be doing great things as well. So again, the foundations of these businesses are not rooted in a good idea. It's a journey to solve a problem and then trying to innovate ideas to solve them. So that's what entrepreneurship is for me now. And there's been a lot of dark times, but a lot of good times. I met my wife, Sophia, and we got married in chapter 8. And I have such an amazing extended family now, and Argentina is an amazing place. And yeah, so it's a story, but it's looking backwards, but it's looking forwards. It's about how can we do everything across society to do it better. I'm as guilty as anybody else in the bad things that I've done and we've done. And most of the time it's just the law of unintended consequence. We just don't realise actually that action causes these actions and knock-on effects. So yeah, so it's more about how can we do more better. So I'm gonna stop there, and I'm just gonna maybe invite a couple of people up who I've been blessed with, because to write a book, it's not easy. You write it and then you need people to read it and feedback and help you shape it. So I thought I'd invite actually a lady who has inspired me from the first day that I met her. She is the star of chapter 9, and that's Sheila Needham. If you wouldn't mind joining me up here for just a moment.